Everyone, and welcome to another presentation of Beyond the Headlines. I'm Stephenson, Worme, your host, and as usual, it's a great pleasure to be with you here as we bring you information that I dare say is so relevant to Grenada and, of course, to its citizens and beyond. So we will be having a very interesting program, as I can simply tell you that. So get ready, and maybe you can invite a friend or two. I know that the elections are over, but there are a few things that we obviously would be looking at tonight. We have also from way over in Toronto, Canada, Dr. Justin Pierre, and he is our guest tonight, and it'll be nice having him there. He's got a lovely, almost boyish smile there. And in the studio with me, I have Mr. Richard Simon, and tonight we'll be looking at artificial intelligence predicting elections results. So let me just quickly say hello to our guest, main guest, and that is Mr. Pierre. Dr. Pierre, good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Good
afternoon to everyone. I thank you for having me here. As I said, that it's a very interesting show. I've always listened to your program, and I hope that tonight the audience will get idea of what we do and how we make decisions as a company, and hopefully they will get to know a bit more about myself. Thank you.
And sorry, and just to let our listeners know that Dr. Justin Pierre, I can say in fact that we go a long way back. We've gone to about 40 years because we did attend the Grenada Boys Secondary School, so we do have a long-standing connection, and it's just so nice to have him on the program. And his primary area of expertise is in the field of migration and labor marketing research. Now, this field involves matters relating to forced migration, human trafficking, migrant smuggling, migrant labor rights, data analysis, social research, conducting surveys, and the formulation of labor market information systems. So he's got quite a lot on his plate, and he's also engaged in both the Canadian black-owned business company of Dunn, Pierre, Barnett and Company Limited. Also, he is the Director of Research and Business Development in the non-profit organization Cancaro. So it's quite a lot, and if I begin to tell you, give you more details about Justin, it'll probably take up the whole evening. I also want to say welcome, of course, to Richard Simon, who obviously is no stranger to us here in Grenada, a radio personality. He is also a gospel singer. Gosh, there's so much, Richard. I don't know which one you'd prefer to go by, former journalist, or if you still want to say present journalist, past press sec of the 2008 to 2013 NDC government and press sec of the Prime Minister. So he's a very noble gentleman and very, very experienced. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here with you.
So, Dr. Pierre, your company, in fact, did conduct a survey on the voting population in Grenada. That's 2020 and 2021. From May the 20th to 29, you conducted a series of focus groups in Grenada. And of course, in recent times, you did some more research and you've come up with some very interesting statistics, especially in regards to the recent elections that we had in Grenada. Could you just amplify about that a bit?
Okay, well, thank you again, listening audience. As I said, my name is Justin Pierre, and I am the Director of Research for the Canadian firm of Dunn, Pierre, Barnett and Company Canada Limited. We are a black-owned company. In fact, we are one of the maybe few or maybe the only black-owned research company in Canada. And as a result, we have been doing a lot of work in the area of labor market. And since we have, in our inception, we have done maybe about over 160 projects in 40 countries. So we are known worldwide in conducting studies. And what as I said, we are very steeped in the whole history, in migration. In fact, the geography of human beings, why people move. So we have done a lot of the work in issues related to labor market needs assessment, migration, human trafficking, and most Grenadians would know that we conducted the CARICOM human trafficking study for in the countries of CARICOM, and in 2016, we also conducted the Turks and Caicos National Migration Survey and the National Needs Assessment in the Turks and Caicos. But what made us a little more popular in the sense that we conducted the migration study for the World Health Organization, the Pan American Organization, for health workers in the Caribbean, and that encompasses 28 countries. And the sample population was close to was over 25,000 subjects. So we are no stranger to data. We have no stranger to analysis. And I think that we as a firm, and especially as a black firm, we get a lot of support from the Canadian government, who in its quest to assist black businesses as our own, are there to provide a lot of managerial support in our venture.
Yes, you have worked, you said, in about 40 countries.
Yes.
Would you care to name some of those countries and also specific reference?
Yes,
to
Well, obviously, we have done some work in Grenada. I think in the National Trade Agency, we have done some work in the Tibet. We also are on the ground now in St. Lucia. We are conducting the baseline study for the psychosocial survey in St. Lucia. We have just had a project with CARILEC. We also have done many projects for CARICOM, for the Caribbean Development Bank, for many organizations. And as I said, we are no stranger to the Caribbean. We have worked in almost every country in the Caribbean. Both in 2017, we conducted a national skills assessment for the government of Suriname. And that was a very large study, and so we are pretty popular in terms of what we do, and we give good work, and as a result, persons rely on us. And now, as a firm, we are now conducting in Canada the employee an assessment of the Employee Equity Act in Canada, and we are now in collaboration with the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, conducting the first labor market needs assessment in Canada for Black people. So this is a huge study that we are engaged in currently. So I think our work speaks for itself.
Obviously, you won't be able to encompass all the details and all the subject matters that you attend to, because it's pretty broad. So we want to come right home, and we're going to zero into that. But first, tell us a little bit, Dr. Pierre, about artificial intelligence. That is a relatively new term that we've been hearing in recent times. So you're going to be telling us a bit about artificial intelligence in relation to predicting results of elections. So just brief us on that before we zero into Grenada.
Right, good. Yeah, basically, after the 2020 U.S. elections, predicting elections, there were a lot of flaws in predicting election. A person normally would have, conducted a poll, and they will determine that election is, the incumbent or the opposition will win. But after the 2020, things have changed with the advent of artificial intelligence, machine learning. Persons now be able to use data using what's called open source data. Okay, for example, in our case, we used the open source data of the Grenada, a baseline of the Grenada telephone directory. In that data, it had a mountain of information: where people live, people's phone number, who they are, what street they live on, And so all of that data, so we take that data, we take what is called unstructured data, and applied artificial intelligence and machine learning to make it purposeful, to make it be able to use probability statistics, and so that it will be able to make prediction based on without human intervention. And this is basically what we did in Grenada.
Let me ask you, because there are a lot of people who've been hearing quite a bit about artificial intelligence, and they're very suspect and very suspicious, rather, about this. Is there anything to be afraid of, to be scared of, in regards to artificial intelligence?
Actually, no. Actually, I tell you a story, a similar story. So we do proposals as a company. We survive on proposals. So we are in the what is called developmental aid industry. So we write a tender will come out maybe from the Caribbean Development Bank or CARICOM or the Government of Canada, and we will write these proposals. So, for example, last year, we did a total of 166 proposals as a firm. We were successful in 103. Okay, so we were shortlisted in about, in most of them. But this year, because of the use of AI, what we trained the AI to do, so to write proposals. So what the AI will do, based on our, let's say, a history of writing proposals, it will take the information and then write the proposals for us. The proposal is about maybe 70%, and then the firm now will take it to the 100%. So, for example, I will take my resume, put it through the AI, and the AI then I could ask the AI about myself, and instantly it will tell me who is Justin Pierre, where he was born, which project I did, all of that without human intelligence. And I think that is what is where the use of artificial intelligence is the new age, okay, of things. And for example, as we said that with regard to the Grenada election, so we took what is called open source data, your white pages. We took the data from the Parliamentary Elections Office, which is the 2,400 pages on it is publicly available on the internet. We programmed the artificial intelligence. So we have a computer program called ESME, and this ESME computer now can go into let's say, for example, the Election Boundaries Commission parliamentary office can go into, take down that data, convert that data into either Excel or Word, and make predictions based on that. So I think that artificial intelligence is the way to go. We should embrace it, obviously with some sort of caution, but we should embrace it. But it is there for us. And I think that and that's why we were able to make such accurate predictions in our project with regard to the Grenada election, even though all of the experts, okay, were against us, because nobody believed that some person like us would predict that the NDC will triumph over the well-established NNP. And later on in our interview, I will go into how we came about in making our prediction.
We do have pollsters who do the conventional, traditional polling assessment. How different is that from intelligence, artificial intelligence? Way different.
Yeah, very good question. Way different. It's like chalk and cheese. So, for example, in my interview last week with the Mr. Wickham, he normally would do the poll. But what we did, for example, in Grenada, we interviewed 1,768 persons from our database, and what we did, for example, was to interview them. We interviewed persons. So 36% of the respondents were established NNP voters. 33% were NDC voters. Some were never voted before. So we polled all of them. In addition to our polling, we also went on the ground and conducted some focus groups. We conducted 19 focus groups between May the 20th and May the 29th. But in addition to that, what we did is that we took data, we analyzed data, okay, close to 43 million data sets of social media feed. Okay, so for example, so in the NDC had data, for example, social media past persons who will let's say share a video. So maybe some persons will make a video for the NDC. So all of that data. So in terms of the analysis of the data, so the NDC had a total of 1,057 hours based on data on social media feed, and which we saw that it was. And the NDC had only 117 hours. So the NDC had more media time, social media time, than the NNP, and which also contributed to the success of the NDC campaign.
Do you think that what about the attractiveness on social media? It's one thing to have more than the other party, but what about the attractiveness? What appeals? Was it more appealing? Was the NDC more appealing? How do you compare them with the NMP, for example?
Right. So from the data. So from the 1,057 hours that the total NNP feed, what we tend to analyze it, the number of likes, number of persons who transferred, shared information, what they like. So for example, on the NDC platform, what was the most popular the most popular song, or the most popular transmitted item was a song called Forward, something like that, And this was like took the energy, the people, many people liked it, and there's another one which was called we are the best leader and we like it. That was very, very, very popular, and people were very enthusiastic. People shared it. So all of these type of data we collected. We also did analysis of all the speeches made by the two political leaders. We analyzed the speeches. We analyzed for fluency. We analyzed for diction. All of that we ended up, and all of that was done through artificial intelligence.
All right, Dr. Pierre, let me put you on pause for a while, because trust me, this is becoming more and more interesting. I'm going to turn my attention across to Richard. Richard, based upon what Dr. Pierre has just stated, are you able to identify with what he said in regards to the amount of the quality of ads, maybe the quality of songs, those sort of things? What were your own assessment?
I think when you look back at how people responded to the two campaigns, you hear what Dr. Pierre, and by the way, let me say good evening to Dr. Pierre as well. That you see how that conclusion was reached based on what you were seeing on the ground in your data. There was a sense that people were, the songs, the music was creating the hype, was reaching a certain demographic. I think the whole social media interaction that we saw played into the fact that we had a growing population of youth who were tech savvy, who are Facebook savvy and utilizing the social media quite a bit. So I think you are seeing that you can now hear what Dr. Pierre is saying and seeing it play out on the ground in real life in Grenada. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the songs that were played, you saw a lot more sharing of it. A lot more sharing of the songs, a lot more sharing of the images that came, whether they were positive images or negative images, a lot more sharing. I mean, I am part of about 4 different groups. Some I was involuntarily, and some not voluntarily. Somebody added me into a group, and every day you were seeing almost at the same time the images or the songs or the speeches or parts of the speeches turning up. I think for the first time for the first time ever, I think, since 1984, that you're seeing that the whole social media platform was really a driving force in the election, especially with the advent of COVID. Of course, we were not able to have the mass meetings that we would normally associate with election campaigns. And so social media became a major tool in that process. And I think not just the use made of it, but the creativity that went into it was critical to campaigns. And I think in the context of the New National Party, there were some acknowledgements that the NDC was beating them to message and beating them to imagery. And therefore, I think it is well reflected in the study that Dr. Pierre is talking about. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to come right back. We're going to take a quick break, and please callers, we're going to give you an opportunity to call in and express yourself. But let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grand Anse, Victoria Street, Granville, and Central Deputy Street, Wharf. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
The exciting, dramatic, humorous, and mind-captivating Lions All Mass is back in 2022. The Lions Club of St. George's and Spice Mass Corporation brings you an evening of comedy, fun, laughter, and pick-on at the Grenada Youth Center on Sunday, July 17th from 3 p.m. Tickets are available from any member of the St. George's Lions Club, Spice Mass Office, Grenadian Optical, Clear Vision, and Gittins Pharmacy, Grand Anse. Admission adults, $25. Children 12 and under, pay $12. Come relieve your stress through laughter and be prepared to be entertained by local calypso and soca artists. This is an evening you don't want to miss. The Lions and Spice Mass Corporation All Mass, Sunday, July 17th, Grenada Youth Center, 3 p.m. See you there.
Have you heard about the new Softweed bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers layers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information. Are you looking for a summer program that is fun-filled, safe, and mentally stimulating for your child? Then Destined to Win Summer Explosion is just what the summer ordered. For ages 5 to 16, our program includes arts and craft, reading and mathematics, indoor and outdoor games, dancercise, karate, field trips, face painting, treasure hunting, and more. Destined to Win Summer Explosion runs July 11th to August 12th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. We're located on Tempe Main Road, next to Ned's Rental. Registration only $10. Spaces are limited, so call Mrs. Bartholomew on 403-8282, 405-8282, or 414-8282 to book today.
Total is one of the world's largest oil companies with a top quality line of lubricants. Total Lubricants has a full product line from passenger cars, motorcycle, heavy industrial equipment, mining, trucking, agriculture, and manufacturing machines and vehicles. Total Lubricants, winning championships in motorsports, including Formula One and World Rally Championships. Total Lubricants are available at all Rubis service stations, leading automotive shops, and distributed by Huggins.
Get away from your daily stress with a Grenada vacation at the Coyaba Beach Resort. Coyaba is located on the world-famous Grand Anse Beach and boasts 5.5 acres of beautiful garden. We offer excellent service, good food and drink, well-appointed rooms, and friendly staff in a safe environment. Facilities include 2 restaurants, 2 bars, swimming pool, water sports, tennis, gym, and body treatment rooms. Call 473-444-4129.
And welcome back. And of course, we've got Richard Simon in studio with me, and Dr. Justin Pierre, who is up there in Toronto, up in the north. So welcome back. And Dr. Pierre, you have been revealing some very interesting facts and statistics. You talk about the social media and the sort of impact that it had on the elections, and turned out to be rather significant and crucial. And the NDC took advantage of that and won it, whether you want to say comprehensively, but from the context of 15-0 to 9-6, it was a remarkable comeback by NDC, wasn't it?
Yes. I think that we have to give both the NDC and the NNP. You have to give them some praise, especially the NDC and especially the new leader. I thought that from a year ago, no one knew who he was, and to be in the limelight, I thought that it was was magnanimous. I think that we have to give him the praises for just running a very comprehensive campaign. And I thought, in my opinion, I felt that the NDC did well. However, I felt that the NNP could have done better. The data suggested that the NNP could have done better. So what we, for example, did when we go into a country, for the viewers, this is not the first time that we have conducted studies like this. Okay, it's just that it just becoming more popular. So what we have done in the country, let's say for Grenada, when we knew that the voter registration was like 86,658, we analyzed what's called the registered voter for population ratio. Okay, we looked at that. We also looked at the parish to voter registration ratio. Okay, so the parish to voter registration ratio was 12,379. Then what we also looked at the registered voters to constituency ratio, which was 577.2. So we gave certain information to the computer. We also looked at the voters registration to polling district ratio, which was a 902. We know that. So when from space or from the style, when we looked at the registration, there were approximately 96 polling stations. There were average in the circumference 902 voters per ratio. We looked at the houses for polling district. So all of that information was inputted into the computer so that the computer can make a decision, okay, based on how people vote. So what we did is that we were able to monitor, let's say, for example, polling station. So what happened? So when the ESME was able to monitor. It was easy to monitor 902 persons than let's say 5,000 or even 12,000. So we looked at these people who voted, what time who used social media, what time they used social media, what type of social media they use, what time of day, how many they like, what percentage of Facebook they use. So all of that information was what we were able to analyze and make predictions based on these things.
Now, when you went analyzing, of course, the data in front of you, did you see anything intriguing, anything surprising, anything shocking, anything that just sort of took you by surprise? Was there?
Well, yes, actually, yes. So this is very interesting. And we're not saying what I was about to say. I'm not saying that I'm not casting this question on any one set of group. What we found out something very interesting. We made some calculations, some broad statements. One of the statements we made first, we found that the younger you are, the more likely you are to support the NDC. The older you are more likely to support the NNP. The non-voters are more likely the people who have never voted before. They were also most likely to support the NDC. We found out that on average about 26% of persons in the country historically, because we took not some of their data from since 1976, from since they are Blanche and hosting competition right up. So we looked at millions of data points. We also found out that the most prominent supporter of the NNP was single women with children. Okay, except there were two outliers, except they were nurses and teachers. So we knew that most single women supported the NNP. We also found out that most persons in the elementary occupation, meaning the elementary occupation, supported the NNP. However, most persons in the managerial position tend to support the NNP. We also knew that for business persons who were in support, academia were in support of the NDC. NDC supporters there were more NNP supporters, which is very interesting. NNP supporters were more loyal than the NDC supporters. Okay, because 57% of them have voted consistently for NNP in the last 4 elections, and this is compared to only 41% of the NDC voters, and that is where the interesting our analysis and our artificial intelligence took place. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to find out who these voters were. Who were these consistent voters of the NNP? And later on, I will tell you. I will tell you who. We also found out that the NNP had a larger voter base than the NDC. So on average, the NNP had a voter base of about 30,000 compared to about 22,000 for the NDC. We also predicted that, which we were wrong, of course, which the higher the voter turnout, the higher the possibility of the NDC winning. But we looked at a base, we looked at a base parish, and our base parish was St. David. Okay, because we also found out that the lower turnout most likely would support an NNP win. We found out that 56% of the NDC voters believe that this is what was the crux of the matter. So we found that 54% of NDC voters and 35% of NNP voters believe that the NNP leadership would not fulfill its promise of pension payment. And what we were able to do, that we will take these two indicators and made that into a study.
Wow. Let me just back up a bit, because you mentioned about those very loyal to the NNP. You talked about single women with children.
Yes.
Why was that so? In your analyzing, is there a rationale behind that?
Right. So when we conducted this study, we remember that 30% of our respondents, they supported the NNP. And when we looked at the composition of that sample, we were able to find out who were they, and we found out that who they were, and we found out that they were single women. And when we analyzed it further, we found out that there was a block. Okay, so 57% of these people, a large percentage, 15,433 of these people consistently voted as a block. Okay, for elections after elections after election. Okay, and so it doesn't really matter. Nothing would change them. Mission, opinion, about the country. Doesn't really. They voted NNP consistently, and we felt that was the largest supporter the NNP had. But when you look in terms of the labor market, these people were, as I said, I'm not saying that to cast dispersion on anyone, but the majority of these people, they were either unemployed or close to unemployment, or most of them were in the elementary workers. I'm not saying that, but what we have to say that there are elementary workers, there are unemployed NNP supporters, there are unemployed NNP supporters. But that block specifically, most of them were either unemployed or near unemployment. And that's what made us say that something was really wrong with how the election had been from various years, and we wanted to find out why.
So what really went wrong, and I don't know if went wrong is the correct rendition, with the NNP's support base of over 30,000?
Okay, good. So very, because remember that rallies do not win election. Okay, rallies, as I said, voters win election. What made the change is that people are the voters are rational. Okay? The voters are rational. 57% of 35% of the NNP voters believe that if the NNP were re-elected, they would not fulfill the promise of pension payment.
Really?
Okay? Yes. And that is one of the major decisions, the major turning point. Some of these people were pensioners. Sometimes in the focus group, you discuss these people. What is the main issue? So I mean, I've been working for this some of the years. I haven't got the pension. So the pension was very, very important to the June 2020 election. You could not win the election if you did not say something definite about the election, about that payment, that pension payment. And what happened is that most of the, based on the data, most of the persons, the NNP supporters, felt that if they voted for the NNP, they would not get the pension payment. But however, if they voted for the NDC, they would ensure, they believe that they will get the pension payment. In fact, 88% of all voters surveyed believe that if they voted the Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell at the time, they will ensure that they get the pension payment, because pension payment was one of the most critical issue in this election.
Richard, let me ask you to chime in here. Do you think that the NDC recognized the importance of that pension payment issue? And did they capitalize on it? Did they ride on it? Did they use that as a fantastic weapon in terms of forging ahead and winning significant people to their attention?
I think that is absolutely true. And it's very interesting to hear Dr. Pierre with that analysis, because a number of people, especially persons who were public officers, either public officers now or awaiting retirement, going to retire soon, or having already retired, the discussion was that we are retiring into poverty. So any organization, any political organization who came forward to say, listen, yes, we will honor, and remember, it was a court's decision, more than once at that, that they recognized that there was only one party who was talking seriously about honoring both the court's decision and honoring the constitutionally protected pensions. So I think it was a wise strategy to go down that road and to ensure that, not just to say it, but to ensure that once you win office, that you find a way to make that payment. I think that's going to be the hallmark of as we go forward, what happens in terms of the government's people's continued allegiance and loyalty to the National Democratic Congress administration. I think the other thing we need to recognize is that that was kind of the pitch to the persons who are part of the older generation, and I say that at the level of the 60s and over. But I think the other element we need to look at is, and I think Dr. Pierre mentioned it, is the whole issue of this was one of the elections that reminds me kind of 1984, coming out of revolution, that there was a demographic that was engaged in this election in a way that we have not seen it in a long time. The young professionals, the people who were just out of school, the persons who, the people who were at a level where they were either coming back from university or preparing to go to university. That group, very engaged, and I think it was partly because they saw a 44-year-old man, they saw hope in a 44-year-old man and his message. The messaging in these elections was very interesting, because what you had was a comparison of a message of, we've been there for 22 years, we're going to develop a plan after 22 years. And here you had another message just saying, we've never been there, but listen, we can go a different direction. We can provide hope. We can provide prosperity if we all work together in moving the country forward. So it's not just about the individual now. It's us moving together. And you know, it's interesting because I posted on my Facebook page today, and this is the discussion I've always had with my colleagues, that we can change as many governments as we can every 5 years. But unless we as a people begin to decide for ourselves where we want our country to go, we will continue changing our leaders and being disappointed in our leaders because we need to get engaged. If we don't get engaged, then we will sit back and hope somebody else can do it without recognizing that our vote is not the end of our participation in the process. Our vote on June 23rd was not the end of our responsibility to move in the country in the direction that we need to move the country in. And I think it's important for us as individuals, as Grenadians, to determine individually and collectively of a direction that the country needs to go. We've seen in the past, we've gone back from Gary, Prime Minister Gary, to Dr. Mitchell. So we have we have a track record to judge where the country should go and whether or not there actually should be betterment. And we found a messenger, I think, especially that demographic, found a messenger that was saying, I think we have an opportunity to move the country to a different place based on what we've seen. And that's the other interesting part of this election. Based on what we've seen the revolutionary leaders do in 4 years, we know that it's possible.
Okay. So
that's what we said about that.
Yeah, this is very good, and a very good analysis now, because as I said, you know, what we were able to do, for example, we were able to break down the voting population based on who voted, what age band, where the support was, and especially the issue with the pension. Targeted everybody, but specifically targeted the 60 and above voters, or the 50 who traditionally supported the NNP.
Okay, Dr. Pierre, let me just chime in here a little bit. Did you pick up anything, Richard, both of you, did you pick up anything salient in the NNP's politicking that suggested that they're going to work on this pension issue? They're going to do something about it. Was there anything clear, or was there a reservation about it? Did you pick up anything, either of you gentlemen?
Very good question. Okay, so for example, as I said, you know, we set the program to analyze data, analyze speech, words, etc. Okay, so you know, as I said, we as a statistician, we blind. You can say anything. Okay, all we looking at is the data. So, for example, if you look at how many times did the NNP leader stated that he is willing to pay the pension, versus how many times the NDC leader would analyze, say that he would pay the pension. We also, as I said, you know, discuss things like sort of trigger word, the word of ensure. The Prime Minister, Mr. Deacon, used a lot of words like ensure. Dr. Mitchell used words like fundamental. So we look at all the salient words, okay, that were used. We analyze all the videotape so that the AI can make decision. And from our analysis, the prediction in terms of the probability of based on what you said, your gesticulation, your micro expressions, or on while you are on stage, suggested that the NNP leader, if was elected, based on the data, would not have made fulfill his promise of the pension payment, whereas the NDC leader, based on his micro expression, based on his gesticulation, his body language, suggested, based on the data, that if this person was elected, he will fulfill his promise of the election.
Well, that's very interesting, because today I was speaking with somebody and I was telling them that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell's pet word is ensure. And he says it in a certain way. He says it in a certain way he articulates it. He doesn't say ensure. He's going to say ensure. And he's got that emphasis.
Yes.
On both syllables, so to speak, and it seemed to have a sort of effect on people, and it suggests that his ensure is it will happen. So that's what it's called. That's what the AI, the artificial intelligence, predicts, like his micro-expression. You see, so your micro-expression is something that you say involuntarily. So it just really means how honest you are. So the funny thing, when we analyze how many ensures he used, how many times he used the word ensure, I mean, it may really, so we analyze that, how many times the Dr. Mitchell used the word fundamental. We also analyze that. And based on he was more believable. Okay? He was more believable. People trusted that. And the whole issue of, as one in the focus group, the whole issue, the whole sympathy factor, people can see the whole issue of P.T. Carrico and Grenada. This evoked a certain level of sympathy that this person, from his micro-expression, he is putting the smallest persons in front before he takes attention, before he focuses on the large issue. He's putting P.T. Carrico and Grenada. As the lady was telling us, she said anytime she heard that word, she gets emotional, because for the first time she saw somebody's really taking her country seriously. Somebody's really looking at Carrico seriously, etc. All right. Well, we're going to come back shortly. We're going to take a break. But when we do come back, we've got a clip of the former Prime Minister and the present Prime Minister. We might just do a little bit of comparison, but we'll do that as soon as we come back. We'll be right back. Okay.
If there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now! We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carrico. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
Just a reminder, the global pandemic is not over. Office Pros and markers are still here to protect you. Available are several versions of touchless hand sanitizer and hand soap dispensers, dispenser stands, paper towel and toilet paper dispensers, and thermometers. Also available, hand sanitizing gel, sanitizing solution, hand soap, Lysol products, face masks, and gloves offered at the best price in the market and backed by a full warranty and protection plan with free installation. We are located on the Woodlands Main Road. Call Office Pros on 444-2393 or markers on 439-2393. You can also visit the Facebook page for more information. And never forget to remember, I, Mr. Markers, would never forsake you. Believe that.
They are the few, the strong, the elite. Grenada, get ready as our sporting gladiators go for gold and glory at the World Championships. Follow every throw, stride and jump from July 15th to the 24th. Capture the action daily on GBN television. It's the World Championships. The dream continues.
James is going to win it.
busy during the week and have no time to go to the credit union to access your loans? Do you wish there were more days available to you? We can help. Our Loan Saturday is back by popular demand this and every Saturday at the GUT Credit Union Grandance Branch, Excel Plaza. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you have access to your credit union even on a weekend. So come on in and take advantage of our services every Saturday. GUT Credit Union, it's where you belong.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get Rubis, get going.
WeatherGuard Pro. For every project, there's only one Pro.
Okay, welcome back to Beyond the Headlines, and I just want to inform you that we'll be opening up the line shortly, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who would like to give their thoughts. So we're going to open up shortly. We're not quite ready as yet because we need to get a couple of things out of the way. So let's just take a clip from both leaders. Yeah, it's just random, okay? So let's do that, just a random clip.
With both an honor and gratitude that I've accepted the mantle to lead the opposition and the parliament of this country for the immediate period. Consistent with Section 66 of the Constitution of this country. However, as the current political leader of the New National Party, I do not intend to hold this position beyond the party's next convention. But let me add, the process of the next convention should be orderly and timely, and no one will push the party to do what he or she wants. Let it be very clear.
All right. Right, thank you.
I will remember.
So just a little clip there. I thought it was a very interesting clip too. As we said, it's really random. Richard, what did you make about that particular clip? Obviously, you see that there's a lot of verve involved. There's a lot of hand movement involved, and for a moment it sounded a little stern. Mm-hmm. I don't know if stern is the right word. Your vocabulary, your vocab is better than mine. So, what do you make of it?
Well, I think it was obvious that the former Prime Minister was responding to a certain constituency. We have been hearing more and more about persons who are calling for him to make way for somebody else. We've seen it in the press. Make way for younger persons. We've heard persons who were close to him, even in sermon, talking about this time for him to get a new leader for the party and so on. And you heard certain names being floated. And so I think he was responding to a certain constituency. I heard a voice note from someone who is purported to be part of that machinery that spoke in kind of guarded tones about the importance of keeping promises that were made to other people as well. So I think he was basically saying, no one's going to force me to make a decision that I'm not ready to make, even if he's putting it in the context of the party is not ready to. The party will make that decision when the time comes. But he's giving the warning that it's ready when I'm ready. Okay. That to me is a grandfather, and no pun intended there, saying to the children, you will go, but when I want you to. One person said to me once, it's like someone telling you, you have 300 channels on the TV. You can look at any one you want, but I will hold the remote.
Interesting. Dr. Pierre, what's your thought about that particular clip?
Well, as I said, I have a friend called Roland Hood, and we know each other for a very long time, and I always say that I think I like the former prime minister. I'm originally from Fontenoy. It's like a NNP enclave, a GLP NNP enclave. So I think I have a lot of based on culture, I have a lot of admiration for him, and I always told people, for example, when Dr. Mitchell first started, I think I mentioned that once, where my mother called me and said that Justin, that she was a GLP supporter. She has decided to vote for Dr. Mitchell. I said, so why you want to vote for Dr. Mitchell, Mommy? He said, well, one day he came into the house while rain was coming, and we stayed in Fontenoy. I mean, back in the day, way in the back of the byway Fontenoy, and he came into her house, and it was raining, and all the water, all the his mud on the shoes and everything. He came in and he asked my mother for a glass of water, and he also asked her to vote for him. Okay, and my mother said, she felt so sorry for him. She ended up voting for him, and she voted for the NNP until she died. So I'd say that Mr. Dr. Mitchell sounded as defiant. He felt that when he will only go, or he will only relinquish support when he wants to do that. No one will force him. But however, in nature, if you don't make a decision, nature will make decisions for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that the trajectory of the party, when things would change, and a leader eventually will come up from the NNP to lead the party. And yes, he will leave when he wants to leave. However, but before that, a leader will come from the NNP, because NNP is still a strong party. Because remember, they have a very large voter base, and a leader. And based on my data, we felt that there are two potential persons who I believe can be a very vibrant leader, because they have a strong base, and that 15,000 base is still there, and it would not go.
Dr. Pierre, you care to mention those names, or you leave them reserved?
Well, it's a woman. Okay, I think that Miss Emlyn Pierre is pretty good. I think that Peter David is pretty good. That's just my opinion. If I had to, let's say, I'm not an advisor, obviously, of the NNP, and I'm not an advisor of any party. But if I had to make a decision, okay, based on the data, based on our analysis, I think that these two persons could be the next leader. Not because of, especially Peter David, especially because of his support. Because when you interview we did about the three focus groups in St. George, in the town of St. George. And if in the town of St. George has some of the most loyal voters, because they are voting for Peter David. So if he goes to the NNP, they will vote for him. If he goes back to the NDC, they will still vote for him. But I thought that is a very good characteristic. And also, when you look at the characteristics of a leader, So we did a profile of what will make a good leader. Peter David mirrors that very well, and Emmeline Pierre also mirrors that very well. So I think that these are two persons, or maybe somebody will just come up with those quality of leadership.
Okay, so let's go across to another clip we have, and let's see the current Prime Minister, Dickon Mitchell.
To also congratulate Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and his team. They form the opposition. Dr. Mitchell and I spoke this morning, and we both pledged that we would work together to ensure that the people of PT Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada benefit first. And for the record, let me dispel any myth. He initiated the call, so there is no suggestion that he was not magnanimous, and I want to publicly thank him for doing so. And he indicated that he wanted to ensure that we spoke privately before he made any public statements. So to him and his fellow colleague members of Parliament, I extend my best wishes and congratulations, and I will ensure that they too work on behalf of the people who have elected them to serve as members of Parliament. So I certainly look forward, particularly in the House of Parliament, to working with the opposition to passing the necessary legislation that we believe will begin the transformation agenda for PT Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada. And I therefore want to remind the supporters of the new National Party that we are citizens of Grenada first, and that is our collective responsibility to act that way and to work together to build our small island nation.
Yeah, good. So we had the former Prime Minister, and then we
have several tasks
Prime Minister
ahead of us. In the
present Prime Minister, sorry. What do you make, Richard, of his address?
Well, I thought his whole tone throughout the campaign was, one, he was quite focused on Grenada. His interaction gave you some sense that it will not be about the personality, but it'll be about the larger nation. I think the other element to that is that you felt for the first time in some time that there was somebody who was speaking, was engaging you, not speaking down to you. You felt that there was a messenger that was not telling you, I am going to, it was saying, let's work together to get it done. And I think that is in that context, I think you saw him being, in his own words, magnanimous in the context of recognizing that there was a role not just for the NDC supporters, but for everyone to engage, and he was willing to, even at that place and time, send out an olive branch to say, listen, in fact, he said it, the boxing match is over. It's now time for us to join forces to build nation together. And I think that is what I saw from, it's a very, very humble message, I would say, or a message from a whole person who was saying that I can't do it alone, we need to do it together.
Was it not significant that Dr. Mitchell did take the initiative and congratulated him and decided that let's work together?
Yes, I think it was. I think it's important that took place. I don't think, with all the issues you might have with Dr. Mitchell, whatever you think those issues are, whatever your perspective of him is, there is a side of him that says, that recognizes, and he said that in that speech today, that he's recognized that the people have spoken, and that their wishes were clear, and therefore it was in his interest, in his party's interest, and in the nation's interest, for him to come out and say that, and to congratulate the winner in the process. After all, we are a winner-take-all system that we run. So it's really important. I thought it was really important for him to say that. But I would have liked to hear his voice on the night of the election, saying, conceding, as we say, although indeed other members of the party did come out and do that.
Okay. Dr. Pierre, let's go across to you and just in about 40 seconds,
yes.
Comment on the clip.
Yes, in the clip, I based on the Prime Minister Deacon, he seemed to be very honest, very trustworthy. They said, this whole credible, his credibility is high when he speaks. Okay, this whole issue of ensure, somehow in ensure it's sort of trigger word. When you hear the word ensure, you feel a certain way, you expect a certain type of response, and somehow he was trained well to sort of ensure that he says the word ensure very, very often. So I believe him. I wish him all the best and we as citizens, that we should really help support Grenada, because no one cannot do it alone. We all have to help.
Okay, so we're looking at artificial intelligence and predicting election results. We're going to open up the line now, so just in case you'd want to give us a call here, and we'd like to ask callers, please, to make it short and precise, because I believe that there are a lot of people who would want to call in tonight. 440-1252. Let me repeat that, 440-1252. The number is there on the screen, so give us a call and give us your comment. If you've got a question or two that you'd like to ask, particularly Dr. Pierre, you can do that. We've got our first caller. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening. You played the clip where the Prime Minister said wants to deal with everybody. Well, how we could be saying that and his supporters telling people who they consider to resign and get out? How could we deal? He's saying one thing and his supporters saying another thing. How do you marry the two? There is no reconciliation.
Yeah, I didn't get the first part of what he said. Richard, did you pick it up?
I did not pick it up. I think he was saying how do you marry the two perceptions with the Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell saying he's open to working with NNP supporters to come on board and help us build, and yet saying NNP appointees resign and get out. I think that's the question he was asking.
Okay, not too sure if it was said like that. I think there was the mention of square pegs in square holes, so to speak, and getting the appropriate people to fit in appropriate places, offices, as the case may be. Anyway, we've got another caller. Caller, good evening.
Good night, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Tonight, the speakers, the presenters have confirmed what I've been saying for donkey years, that you can detect honesty and dishonesty from a person. And even just a few days ago, on this medium, I said also that in terms of when Dr. Mitchell finally came out and acceded defeat or so, that it wasn't really genuine. And it's interesting that Dr. Pierre, who I know well, have been saying all years, you could know. It's so clear, and people take so many years to find out. The double talks, where I say I'm going to do this, but it's an indication of dishonesty, and I can prove it. Not tonight, but I can prove it. Double talk, but is a big conjunction.
Okay.
I wouldn't say more, but I think I feel, and in fact, this morning I referred to the current Prime Minister as somebody's likable, somebody who gets people comfortable with him, based on his speech at the CARICOM summit last night. So the truth shall set us free, and it is setting us free more and more.
Okay, caller, thank you so very much.
Okay.
And again, I want to just...
as I said, caller, thank you for calling. We deal with data. We process very large data. In fact, our firm has one of the largest database of migrant persons in the Caribbean. A lot of international agencies come to us for data. We have a portal called the Black Data and Information Portal. Our goal is to collect it to be one of the largest source of collecting data on Black people. And in our analysis, as I said, we specifically use a type of analysis that we use within our discussions, within our analysis. We use a lot of what is called micro expression detectors. Into when somebody makes a speech, is this person trustworthy, or this person, not telling their truth? And not myself, but based on the data, the AI sort of predicted that, hey, when this guy speaks, there is certain level, the level of honesty is lowered than when this person speaks. The level of honesty is heightened. Okay, and we were able to make the decision based on that, and that's how we come up with our decision.
Okay, we do have another call on the line. Caller, thanks for holding. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Go right ahead, please.
Hello, Stephenson. Good night. Now, Deacon's father is one of the most successful fast bowler in Grenada, and he takes a lot of tutoring from his father. So I have no doubt that he will be a very successful prime minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Rather interesting. I always, but you know too that my pet is cricket, obviously, and cricket is a sport that calls for discipline. It probably calls for discipline maybe more than any other sport because it's so complex. And I always think that people who play the game of cricket, they bring with it a certain level of committedness and a certain level of discipline. Anyway, caller, thanks for your information. We do appreciate it. Richard, you were about to say something?
I was going to say this election was again an interesting one because we were able to analyze the messaging and the messages. Dr. Pierre talked a lot about data. Even outside of AI, we had the benefit of analyzing Dr. Mitchell, former Prime Minister, from his words and from his actions. Right? We've been able to say, well, this is what he says, now let's look at what he's done. And we've looked back, we have the benefit of history to look back at that. In this particular time, we had a Deacon Mitchell who we have not been able to analyze what he's done. We've been able to analyze what he said. We've been able to hear him and to say, okay, so now let's look at what he's going to do. So the trust factor was more easily swayed in his direction because we have no data to base our analysis on, only what he says.
Okay.
So now we have to look for what he's done, as what he's going to do, as opposed to a new National Party who is saying, well, we will pay the pensions, but there's a track record.
Okay.
We will do this, but there's a track record.
Let's go back to the telephone line. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
And good evening to the two gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yeah, I must admit that what the caller said, I don't think I support him there, where he said that Dr. Mitchell was not genuine in his statement. I think that is wrong. Dr. Mitchell realized that the party have lost. There's all indication. There's no way you could prove that the party have not lost. Therefore, Dr. Mitchell had was to be genuine in whatever he said, because the party had lost. And all who support NNP, as myself, have to accept that we have lost. And I think the message coming from Mr. Deacon is a good message. Let us rally among the party that win in the interest of Grenada. Still hook with your party, But in the interest of Grenada, let us rally around the party that wins for the interest of Grenada. When there's time to criticize, we will criticize. But all for now, the NDC have won the election, and we have to respect that. Thank you.
Thank you. That is highly applaudable.
Yes.
Not too many people really express those sort of sentiments. And I'm talking either way the election goes. Some people are so hurt, some people are upset, some people are ideally angry. But here we have a caller who is saying, look, we acknowledge defeat, but let's look at the wider picture and let's look at Grenada. However, we would still be like a watchdog.
Of course.
And if you move out of line, we're prepared to come after you and bring you on course, as the case may be. That's brilliant, caller. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Justin, hold on. We have another caller. So let's take the other caller. Caller, good evening and thanks for holding.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I look at the build-up of the campaign with social media. I observed the NDC supporters use that media a lot. I don't know if they understand the media more than the supporters of the NNP, because Junior Judge had a program every week, and he have this poll, NDC calling in and vote, and NNP, and every week the NDC getting more vote. So I realized that the NDC supporters had understand the media more than the supporters of the NNP.
Thank you very much. I think quite noticeably, the NMP didn't seem to have the punch as they did, let's say, in 2018. Now, there was a theme song, "We on the move," and ain't nobody could stop us now. And I thought that...
we can't sit down.
Sorry?
We can't sit down.
We can't sit down.
Yes.
And those two songs just took the country by storm.
Yes.
And people wrote with the rhythm. People seemed to gravitate towards it. It had sufficient vibes, and there seemed to be a lot of conviction about it too. This election seemed to be different. I thought that it was not as appealing and maybe a little bit low-keyed. It didn't seem to have the sort of punch that, and the pop, so to speak, that the build up to 2018 had. I don't know whether you two gentlemen will agree with me.
Right. Okay, then I'll try to go first. As I said, from all the, so what we did is that we harvested data from the 268 social media group that either supported the NNP or the NDC. A total of 196 groups was in favor of the NDC. But what is most important in terms of the hours, the NDC like 10 to 1 different. They were always on the media. Okay, they was always on social media, and what made it very interesting, but it was what they put on the media. Okay, so for example, the issue of the suit. There was a suit where the current prime minister said that he would wear certain suits. Okay, and that was very popular. That was very popular. His messages, the timing of his messages. You know that, for example, men watch social media after 8. Women watch social media between 4 and 9. So all of this, so the positioning of the messages were also strategic. And I thought I felt that it was a very good strategy in terms of from the NDC perspective to target the message to specific demographic, the younger voters who are under 20 who supported the NNP, the NDC, but specifically, as I mentioned before, the older voters who supported the NNP, and so So the voter conversion ratio was very high, especially among older voters with regard to their pension. So I give the NDC full mark for that.
Richard? Yeah. Okay, hold on, Richard. We've got a caller. But lest I forget, because my memory is not as astute and as acute as both yours and Justin, but we'll just talk a little bit about that suit issue and what role it played. But we've got a call on the line. Caller, good evening.
Hello, good night.
Yeah, go ahead, right? Go right ahead.
What I may say about on the election is that technology took the hold of the National Democratic Congress. NNP failed to accept and to utilize technology. That is where they failed. They failed in technology. I think NDC had the better hand on technology. Even when you look at the diaspora, there was a great number of people supporting the NDC in the diaspora. And if these people could have voted online, definitely you know that NNP would not have get a seat, because there was a high level of people supporting online in the diaspora. Every time you go on Facebook or you go on whatever it is, you're seeing these people and them supporting NDC. So I think NDC got the better hold of technology than NNP.
Thank you very
Even
much.
in the rallies, you see the rallies, you see people, going to the rallies. But there was a section of people who stayed at home and using technology. That is what I noticed. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, caller. Good observation. We'll comment on that a little. But what was the whole issue about the suit, Richard? Because there seemed to have been quite a bit of talk about it. There must be some humor behind it, wasn't there?
Well, no, actually, it was interesting because when the suit issue came up, I think it was about nomination day, and no Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, then Party Leader Deacon Mitchell, turned up at nomination day in a suit. Dr. Keith Mitchell took that to a political party platform and made an issue of it. And when people started to laugh, he said, no, it's serious business. And I couldn't understand, and not just me, I think there's a group of people who couldn't understand how turning up in a suit on election day was serious business in the context of an election campaign that really mattered in the context of our future and the crises we were facing. But I think the other thing we, in the context of messaging, and Dr. Pierre mentioned it as well, is that we had a situation in this election where every issue that the incumbent raised, the opposition, the NDC, was able to turn it around to their benefit almost immediately. So if one candidate made a misstatement or misspoke on the platform, within 24 hours there was an ad using that person's words. So it kept these things in people's mind, and the caller is right. The issue of the use of social media was paramount in this campaign. And I agree with you that this election cycle, it appeared that the New National Party did not have the punch that it had in previous years. We did not see the use of the media in terms of paid political announcements, advertisements, etc. We did not see that from the New National Party this year. A lot of it was focused on social media, and the NDC won the social media competition.
What about the billboards?
I think, again in this election cycle, the billboards appeared to have come late in the process. And
on whose side?
Well, the New National Party appeared to have indicated, and I didn't hear it myself, so I'm not going to say I heard it, I'm just going to say they appeared to have indicated that they were being beaten to public messaging, whether it's the flyers and posters, whether it's the billboards, so there was a lot of that. And what we also found in this election campaign is that unlike some previous election campaigns, there was a lot of destruction of material on both sides, right? So there's a lot of pulling down of the NDC posters and billboards. There was also a lot of pulling down of the NLP billboards and party material as well. In fact, I think that is one thing that we should really get rid of in our political campaigns, and I think the leaders would have done well had they stood up and said, this is not the way we want to go. We're a democracy. Everybody has a right to his voice, and therefore there's no point in destroying an expanse poster or an expanse. It does not help me or in any way in that context. Yeah.
All right, and we should try to remember also the elections are all over, and we're still seeing a lot of banners across the country, a lot of billboards are up. We're seeing a lot of flags displayed. Is it time for them to come down, to be taken down, Dr. Pierre?
No, I thanks for I do not think so. I think that it will take for a while because people need to marinate their feelings. But I just want to mention something about the suit. Okay, I do not know who, but that was a genius idea. But in terms of we are looking at the elections based on through the lens of artificial intelligence. So let's look at the issue with the suit based on artificial intelligence. So the suit was targeted, not necessarily for voters, but the suit was targeted generally for the women. Okay. Because women are the largest percentage of voters in both parties. Okay, so because Dr. Prime Minister Deakin is when compared with, let's say, Dr. Mitchell. Obviously he's younger, he's more handsome. He has in terms of his eloquence. He's more eloquent than Dr. Mitchell. His whole diction and pronunciation of words is in my opinion better than that of Dr. Pete Mitchell. Dr. Pete Mitchell has in terms of the AI. We had looked at some of the challenges, the whole issue with the word government. Okay, in terms of, so we looked at all of the AI was able to pinpoint almost every plus and every fault in this election, and it was really meant for the women, and the women were able to take that clip and just broadcast, and it took on a new life of its own. And I thought that I believe that it was a very brilliant idea for that clip. I do not know who came up with that idea, but it was really, really, really good.
All right, let's just look at Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. We want to look at tonation. We want to look at volume control, because we never seem to hear him shouting, if you want to put it that way. There was a sort of calmness, but yet that calmness had something profound and appealing, and it seemed to magnetize people to him. What was it, Richard? Obviously, you've been into public speaking all these years, and you know about articulating. What are a couple of things that he did or probably does right to make him appeal so much? I'm not talking about his handsomeness now, as Justin talked. That's another subject matter.
Yeah, I was concerned with Justin doing that analysis. But no, I think generally when you speak to someone, you want to make them feel reassured that you know what you're talking about. His cadence was right. He spoke slowly, almost pedantically. He emphasized the points that he wanted you to remember. He left you thinking, this guy's bright, because you've begun to absorb what he says, how he says it, and he has invited you into his space almost. It's almost like what you pastors do sometimes. To really communicate with someone, you cannot communicate with them at an arm's length. You have to invite them into your space, and therefore you let yourself be vulnerable for a while. To invite them in, but you are always in control of the circumstance. You're always in control of the messaging, so that when they leave your space, they leave thinking that they leave convinced of the things that you said, or at least they leave analyzing the things you said. And I think Deacon Mitchell has done that. In addition to that, of course, we have become accustomed to a Dr. Keith Mitchell who has spoken to us kind of as always the senior, always I'm in control of this, but always kind of at arm's length. He has never, in my opinion, made himself vulnerable to the point where you can feel that, well, for some people, that you're into his space. And I think we've seen a difference. Eric Gary had that. Eric Gary, Morris Bishop had that. And I'm not talking about charisma. I'm talking about being in control, but yet making you feel welcomed and to enjoy the experience while you're there. Mm-hmm. And I think Deacon Mitchell achieved that in this election, because I think part of it was that we were comparing messengers.
Yes.
And the two messengers were giving two totally different styles. And we were kind of hoping for the big brother rather than daddy.
Okay. Right.
Dr. Pierre, do we have a caller?
Yes.
We do have a caller. Go right ahead, caller.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening. Richard and Pastor Worme. And I just wish Dr. Terry could explain a little bit more about artificial intelligence.
Are you through? Okay. Well.
Okay. Good. As thank you, sir. As we mentioned before, it's the whole idea of getting unstructured data. Okay. We take unstructured data to make predictions about a specific for a useful purpose. So in that case, for example, in the case of Grenada, we took unstructured data, the telephone directory. We took some unstructured data, the Parliamentary Elections Commission database, the 2,400 pages. So we took that data. We took unstructured data from the history of voting, why people vote, who voted for the GLP, who voted for the NNP. So we took all that information and we applied artificial intelligence to it to make calculations. So in addition, we looked at something called the micro expression of persons. When someone speaks, they may say a word, but they may not mean it. So we kind of looked into that to come up with decision that we can rely on, and this is the whole essence of the artificial intelligence we use in the Grenada election.
All right, so we don't have a call on the line, but I think we can get a shot at the suit that we talked about a little earlier on. If our technical personality will be, there the suits. They are. I think at some point he was asking, which one of these should I use? Didn't he ask that?
He did.
Quite interesting indeed. So, but which one you prefer, Richard? The gold?
Well, he did use that one at CARICOM, it appears, the blue one.
Okay.
And I think he used the gray one at the swearing in.
So the gold has not been used as yet?
I don't think so. I've not seen that.
Right. Yes,
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
And this is very strategic because what it does is that it invites the people. You feel as though you are part of this process. You feel as though, like when Obama was elected, you feel as though you were part of this decision making, and I think that was well calculated.
Okay, thanks. Let's go across to the telephone line. Caller, thanks for holding. Good evening.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Pastor Worme, and the other gentleman, the other preacher there, and the doctor on the other hand.
Yes.
I will be very short. What people have seen and recognized during this election, they have heard, or we have heard, a message of hope from the present Prime Minister. Take, for example, when you look at the pension issue, that has been a serious burning issue from 1983 up till now, and no one has addressed this issue. And so people have been looking at how come we can have a law that has been put into place to benefit the people who have worked with the government on 2 consecutive terms, making them totally and absolutely qualified for the pension benefit. And whereas we who have worked from 1983 to now, there is nothing for us. The present Prime Minister stated very clearly that was illegal. And if we're talking about loving our people and going forward, we can see that has been an unjust move. So right now, what we have heard from the present Prime Minister is a message of hope that the pension issue will be resolved and other issues will be coming into play to make us a part. In other words, he spoke highly of including or inclusion. And we have felt a part of taking this country forward. And so I want to wish them and wish us all the very best. Finally, I even want to say here and now that I want to thank the NMP machinery for the past and what they have done, because I think we should be able to give jacket with jacket is and to learn to appreciate when someone would have done something excellent for the country. So Dr. Keith Mitchell would have done his part. And in this era, we have found someone who would have gotten new ideas and a fresh breeze that is blowing across. And so he has called us again so that we can come together to take Grenada forward. So I wish Grenada and Grenadians the very best. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful admonition there coming in from a caller. Hey, Richard?
Again, the pension issue. To me, that was the single most important issue. And he mentioned the issue of hope. It was interesting that the NDC took the matter of the pension away from the realm of law, constitutionally required. They took it away from that to say, listen, there's a practical application of this pension issue. If we pay the pension, when we pay the pension, it's going to act as a stimulus, given all the COVID and all that we've gone through, to help move the economy to a different place. So it is not about a requirement to pay the pension, although that is there, but there's also a natural process that will help further develop Grenada, and in their words, move Grenada forward if we were to pay the pension. And I think that to me is what was appealing in the process, that is not just giving people money, but it's helping the country, and even when you satisfy the needs or the desires of or the requirements of paying the pension.
But just backing up a bit, Dr. Mitchell, many years before, did articulate the importance of people getting their pension after having worked for such a long time and given such great service. Is it that the dynamics are different economically and such like that? There may not have been such conviction now about it as there may have been before.
Well, you see, I think there's some dichotomy, because while he would have said that, and that's what I mentioned earlier, there's a track record to go on. So yes, he said that, but what has happened as a result? You also have to remember that going into the election campaign, I would say late 2021, you had circumstances where there was the Fiscal Responsibility Act, there was the fiscal space not allowing all these issues, and then all of a sudden that turned on a dime once the election was in the air, and money started to flow as if it was Christmas.
Okay, I'm going to stop you a little here, Richard. We've got a caller on the line. We don't want to keep it too long. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, good night. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well, thanks.
All right, you were asked the question about artificial intelligence earlier, and if there is anything we should be concerned or worried about. And the answer to that is yes and no. It depends on what side of the coin you are looking at. I think the issue is most of us, when we hear AI, we think Terminator, we think cyborgs, which is very far from what the reality is now.
Okay.
A caller also asked for an explanation. You think weather prediction, AI's artificial intelligence, are being used to assist with that? Really, anything that a human being does that would require some level of intelligence. Think recognizing a face in a photo, picking patterns and so. When these sort of things are done by computers, after you feed it data, whether it's through just the random data, big data, machine learning, then we say we have an AI, an artificial intelligence, a machine, a computer with its algorithm, with its steps, its code that is able to analyze and pick things out. So it's not something new. It is not, I think, the old thing that we see from the movies and so forth. And we need to be aware that it is being used. As I said, there are some downsides to it. Think losing your jobs to automation as these processes are handed over to computers. Think about how it can be used in the military, unmanned aircraft, and just the biases and so out of profiling where computers are used. But there are a lot of very positive uses of it, and we're seeing that. So it's nothing to be overly concerned about, but it is something that we should be aware of, and it's nothing new really. I think maybe it's probably the first time we're seeing it within our system, but it has been used even in the U.S. elections and so. So thank you so very much, man.
Okay.
Thank you. I think that the caller did a very good job.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
in terms of the benefit, so for example, as a result of this experiment in Grenada, a lot of things have happened. So, for example, through all the roads are being logged. So, so you could now, if someone lives in, let's say, Stonehill, Fontenoy, St. George, Grenada, you can just get a geographic location, either Sing Sang data or either geospatial data. You can get a kind of data almost immediately. All, for example, the hospitals, roads, anything can be logged. Schools can be logged. Pipelines also. So there's so many. The benefit is really tremendous, and I think that we should try to engage it and embrace that side of AI, because it can benefit the country. So, for example, the Water Commission can use it, the Electrical Department can use it, schools can use it, etc. So it's it's not to say that I got a call yesterday and someone said are we safe in Grenada now? It's nothing about that. It's just the use of these kind of unstructured data and just be putting an artificial intelligence aspect into it.
How significant, Dr. Pierre, is body language in all of this rather? And does AI play any kind of role, give any sort of suggestion, makes any sort of conclusion? Don't stay long on it, just give us a quick thought.
Well, yes. AI, as a caller said, you use, as I said, the data you have, all the unstructured data. You apply AI, you get the analytics. You process their data, and then the AI now will make predictions or suggestions for you. I mean, at the end of it, you will either take it or not take it, but it makes projection without much human intervention. For example, let's say, as the caller mentioned, the weather, the a driverless car. All of these things are using AI, and we should appreciate it.
Okay, we've got just a few minutes, Dr. Pierre. I can't believe that 2 hours have almost gone. But what did you discover? And let's see how you can do this as quickly as possible. In regards to the NDC 1 winning the seats that they won, did you get anything from your data to suggest or definitively that these are the areas that the NDC would win, and it proved to be right?
Yes, very good. So when we went on the ground, what we did was really, we asked, because we had the 27 questions, we asked persons what are the concerns, what they want. We also, what we did for the first time was to look at our codes. We use ISIC code, okay, ISIC and NASIC code to sort of code the labor market. So we found out who were, for example, who were the elementary workers, who were the managers, what the voting composition of managers were, or skilled workers. So we got that. We also find out, we looked at some of the outliers, teachers and nurses. But what is most important, we found a profile of an NDC supporter, and we had a profile of an NNP supporter. I'm not saying that every NNP supporter or NDC supporter falls in that profile. So we found out what was the what most important is that we looked at the quality of the leadership. So the people, the citizens, the voters, told us what they were looking for in a leader. Must be educated, he should speak well, he should be eloquent, he should be independent, brave, he can identify with the people, he must be accessible, be able to return calls, not afraid to speak in their language. Okay, the whole important issue of Maurice Bishop. Everybody loves Maurice Bishop. We also found out which is most important. There were 20 important issues in the Grenada election. The first and salient issue was the issue relating to pension payment. If you did not come clear on the pension payment, we would not vote for you. Issues relating to employment creation, the economy, the development of the agro-industry, housing for national, the land for national, the sports industry, especially the youth and sports persons. They were saying that, all their lifetime sports persons, you represent Grenada, and you may die in poverty. Okay, they need something for sports person, education relief for students, scholarship funds for students, the health care and health insurance, issues with skills training, tourism, marine, agriculture, the fishery industry, youth unemployment, culture. Corruption was a big issue, and most important, and also safety of the country. People were
30
concerned
seconds,
about safety
Dr.
of the country.
Okay, thanks. So here is where we bring the curtain down on our program this evening. Gosh, I wish we could have gone on for another half an hour. This was a very enjoyable program, and the time has flown by so very quickly. But Richard, I want to thank you for coming in here on relatively short notice. But I know what I can do with friends anyway. I can take advantage on friends, and I took advantage on you. I would not let the people know what time I invited you to come to the program. That's between me and you.
This is confession time.
Dr. Pierre, I want to thank you immensely for giving us such great enlightenment, and for your observation and for your clarification in regards to artificial intelligence and your own homework that you did concerning the Grenada general election. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Lastly, I want to say something, okay? Just finally.
You've got to make that 15 seconds.
We did not get, we were not paid by the NDC to conduct the survey, nor by the NNP. So I just want to say that we did that as a national service, and so that the people can use our information to make decision.
Right. And so this is where we bring the curtain down on our program for tonight. We want to thank everybody who contributed, Richard and of course Justin. And those of you who called in, we appreciate your calling so very much. Every bit of your participation was salient and well received. We want to wish the current Prime Minister all the best, and we also want to wish everybody and all our nationals, whether you're here or you're regional or extra regional, please support Grenada. And don't forget, there is a word called patriotism. I would like to hear that a little bit more. Until next week, God's willing, Stephenson, Worme, God bless.
Part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
They are the few, the strong, the elite. Grenada, get ready as our sporting gladiators go for gold and glory at the World Championships. Follow every throw, stride and jump from July 15th to the 24th. Capture the action daily on GBN television. It's the World Championships. The dream continues.
James is going to win it.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Our upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment as you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest. Visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.